see.
You got it.
Okay.
Excellent.
There we go. Thank you. Okay, so we are recording this today so that we can share the exercises with others maybe that couldn't join us today and would like to see it, or Stephanie wants to be able to use it as well. So glad everyone's here. I'm Lisa Morgan. I'm the service coordinator down in the Chattanooga area, and so glad to see everyone, and I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And our colleague Freda could not make it with us today, but I'm going to turn it over to my other two colleagues right quick and let them introduce themselves as well that I'm working with on this project. So Rick, you're next.
Hey, I'm Rick Hall. I'm the service coordinator in Cookeville, and I think Pam's on here. I'll let Pam say hello.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, this is Pam. I don't even know what to say. I've been to the eye doctor and my eyes are dilated and I can't see anything. So, but anyway, hi everybody. This is Pam Bryan.
You're missing some good-looking people, Pam. Too bad.
I know, it's an awesome-looking bunch.
I was surprised I was even able to log on. I couldn't see. I was having to make everything really large and get really close.
Oh goodness.
Oh gosh.
Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'll let Stephanie decide if she wants. We may not get to do introductions today, but we'll see what we've got going here. And we do these every single week, and we try to have a different speaker. And we've been very fortunate that Stephanie's joined us last month on quite a few to get a feel for who we are. And Stephanie has so many credentials. I'm going to let her tell you more about all the things that she does. She is from the Memphis area, and it's been a pleasure to connect with her. And Stephanie, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you even talk about what we're even going to do today, okay?
Yeah, that sounds great, Lisa. Thank you for having me today. Like Lisa said, I am in Memphis, Tennessee. I've been here for about 5 years. I am a New England girl. I grew up on the coast of Maine, ordering lobsters off of my dock with my parents. So grew up in a little village and loved it. And then I moved to Vermont for 14 years after graduating college, and did some engineering and transportation, community projects, and worked with dairy farmers. So I've always been really drawn to working with communities, and I think that's been a really big string of just how my life has evolved and why I'm still involved with community, but now my focus has been with yoga and energy medicine and helping people feel better and get better through movement, meditation, and just being present with who we are and finding the gifts in every moment. So thank you all for being here today. I'm excited to share a little bit more about yoga, and then we'll do a practice at the end. So why do I do yoga? Basically, yoga helps me clear the cobwebs when I'm feeling really stressed out in my engineering job, just being at a desk a lot. Yoga, I went like regularly, like every single week. I just went once a week. It was a power class, and it really allowed me to connect with my body, my breathing, and just relax and forget about all the troubles of everything else in the world that was going on. And so it's really become this huge foundation in my life that I didn't realize it would just be such a big thing now, but I started in Pilates, power yoga, and I've gone through about 20 different styles of yoga. And it's been about 20 years now. So I definitely have some, information that I share when I work with people one-on-one and when I work with groups like yourselves. So I'm a big avid outdoors person. I love hiking and canoeing and biking and everything. So Memphis is not quite what England has for those things, but I've been able to adapt and find some good hiking trails around here when I need to get out. Now, that said, the last 3 years has been a little bit different for me. And this is where I connect with a lot of you here, because I was doing acrobatics in the park here in Memphis, in Overton Park. And something happened. I slipped and I fell and I landed upside down on my head. Now, everything was fine. I went to the Levitt Shell for music afterwards, and something seemed off, but I didn't quite know what. And the next day I was actually supposed to start a new yoga teaching job at the YMCA. And I went in to sign the paperwork that afternoon, and it kept, you have to sign like 30 odd pieces of paper, right? So, and every time I came to the line and I was like, okay, what's my name and what's the date? And I'm like, this should not be that difficult to remember. And it was. And so I just kind of stayed calm and really was just sinking in what was happening to me and what, so within about less than 24 hours, everything changed. And so for the last 3 years, I've been learning how to live my life differently, listen to my body differently, and not let outside people or things affect me as much, as it can, because people don't understand what a TBI is. And it's hard, I get it. So for me, yoga was a firm foundation at the beginning. And then when I got my TBI, I think it was just, I started teaching again very, very slowly. And that became my way of getting better. It got me out of the house like once a month. St. Jude called me, asked me to teach some yoga for the kids and the parents. And so once a month I got off my couch, and I was, no matter how bad my head was hurting or whatnot, I went and I taught that one class, and I went back home on the couch.
Wow. Are you busy?
So now I'm better.
Oh, great. So sometime when he's working, can I come back down and?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Maybe there we go. And so now I'm able to do some yoga with different populations. I've switched a little bit more into the yoga therapy side of yoga, which is a really nice blend for me and the energy medicine work that I do. So energy medicine is, if you've heard of like Reiki or acupuncture, acupressure type things, I work with the Chinese medicine system of the meridians, the chakras, the electrical system in the body that keeps us moving, and a whole bunch of other things. Lisa and I have talked, and I could go on and on, but if you want to know more, you can always reach out to me about some of those other things. You can reach me on Facebook. I'm Stephanie Loves Yoga. My email is stephanielovesyoga@gmail. And so those are good places to find me. And I wanted to talk a little bit about so yoga and the brain. So yoga, as you know, it's a movement practice. So it's kind of like a qigong. It's kind of like Pilates, but it really combines more. Some people call it exercise. That's certainly why I started in it. But what I didn't realize is all of the exercise and the yoga and the breathing coming all together on my yoga mat was what was helping to heal my anxiety and heal my depression that I had. So yoga is great for balance. It's great for building your strength, and it's great for flexibility. So those things aren't just for the body, but they're also for the mind, right? Because the mind and the body and the spirit or the breath are all interconnected. And as probably some of you know, as you have to shift your life and live it a little bit differently, you start to pay attention to the nuances even more so that you can learn to comfort yourself and take care of yourself better than you ever have, because we have to, right? Like we don't have a choice anymore. Like you have to take care of yourself. And so I offer a weekly yoga class right now on Zoom. So it's every Wednesday from 10 to 11 o'clock. So what we're gonna do shortly here is I'll walk you through kind of a short, but if anybody is interested in joining that class on a weekly basis, you're welcome to reach out to me and talk to me about that. Or if you want to do other private sessions or something else, feel free to contact me. I'm also in January really excited to start teaching an immune boosting class because of all of the knowledge of the Chinese medicine system and my yoga therapy and like the body awareness. I'm just blending it all together to do not really yoga, but more exercises to build the immune system. So strengthening the lungs, right? It's kind of COVID based because that's where we are right now. You know, and everybody wants a vaccine or they want the pill to make it go away. But it's like, well, why don't we strengthen our bodies and get ourselves healthy and strong? And that's the whole goal in the first place. And then we don't need any of that other stuff, because we're living healthy and whole lives. So that class will be just it'll be exercise, just, how do you explain it? We did some of this before with Lisa and the other group, but it's holding points on the body. These are 2 good calming points if you bring your fingertips to the temples. And everybody, you can do that right now. Just take a moment. So let's close your eyes. And slowly take a nice deep breath in through your nose. And slowly breathe out through your nose. Breathing in. Breathing out. And if somebody could mute, I don't know, there's some hammering or something. Breathing in. And breathing out through the nose. Let's do that one more time. In and out through the nose at your own pace. And then slowly bringing your hands back down to your lap. Taking a moment, just noticing how that, paying attention to your breathing and just calming the system for just a brief moment, how that might shift your system. So that's a little exercise you can do at any time during the day. You could use it before you're falling asleep. But the immune boosting one, we're going to be working with the lungs a lot. So this point here on the thumb, kind of where the crease of your wrist is, and at the base here, this is lung point number 9 for the meridian. So the lung meridian comes from the inside of the shoulder, down the inside of the arm, and off the thumb. And so lung 9 is the source point for the lung meridian. So you can take your other hand, you're going to do it on both sides. So that point might feel sore. It might not, but it's just a point that connects to the organ. And by rubbing it, you can help to strengthen your lungs. And the pressure for everything is just a light touch. Some of this, like this one, if it might feel better to push in deeper, you can kind of make it more of a deeper pressure. You can also just do everything in the field around that point if you don't want to touch your body. Some of my clients are very sensitive to energies. And so I might work totally in the field on top of somebody's body because they can sense that. They're very sensitive. All right, and then let's switch and do the other side. So I'll show you my hand again. So it's kind of in the crease here and it's up just a little bit there. Usually acupuncture points, acupressure points, there's like a little divot, like a little hole. So that's usually when you know you're in the right place. So let's just rub the other hand for a moment. So this will just give you a little taste of what we're going to do in that class. Some of the movements are standing, you know, and stretching and bringing hands down, but it's really clearing the field and strengthening some of these energies. All right, does anybody have any questions so far?
I think we've just about got everyone muted, so you might have to unmute yourself if you're trying to say anything.
Briar says that he thinks he's breathing better already.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yoga is about awareness. So even just the subtle thing about paying attention to your breathing.
I literally did like more like you know, you can breathe, you know, choosingly, or it does it on its own, you know, but like non-choosingly, I just breathed better. So that happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really enjoy touching my lung to the here, you know, that's a really cool connection.
Yeah, the start of the lung is here. And then there's all sorts of points. Another spot is in the center of the chest right here. These are neurolymphatic points that connect with the lymphatic system to help flush toxins through your body. So this is another one. You can just bring your fingertips forward, up and down here. Or you can bring both hands and kind of make little circles here. So yeah, there's endless numbers of exercises that we're going to be doing starting in January. So that's just a little test or a little taste of it. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was the neuroplasticity in the brain. A lot of doctors and people say, you know, after so many months, then you're not going to get better anymore. Well, we know there's all sorts of research that is being done that the brain is very plastic. You know, we can always learn new things. What is it? What's the saying? You can always teach an old dog new tricks or something like that. So it's not just dogs you can teach tricks to, it's humans too. So you can certainly teach, you know, learn new languages, learn new sports, learn new skills, learn guitar, learn how to knit. We're always, anytime you try a new activity, you are creating new neural pathways in the brain. So another way to think about this is how plastic the brain is. I have here some yellow putty, kind of like silly putty, right? So if you leave it like this, just sitting there like a lump, it's not really going to change, right? It's going to slowly sink down into my hand and kind of be a blob. But if I start to move it and I start to do things with it and squeeze it and activate it and stretch it and all sorts of things, like look at what the plasticity of silly putty can do, right? So if the example is the metaphor of our brains are plastic and plasticity, then just imagine like all of the new neuro pathways
that you can create.
Exactly, that you can create and build and strengthen over time.
That one's broke. Let's go make another one right here. You know, great.
So there are lots of ways to do it. And I like to think that yoga is a really good way because it connects all of the movement, the breathing, the body, and everything all together in one place.
It's also
And-
wonderful. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I had an experience at a rehab in Memphis, ironically, a couple of the Oaks of La Paloma, where the main yoga teacher lady only had one other in the class with me at one point, and then he left for an appointment. It was just me and her or whatnot, but her dialogue or whatnot of the monotone, I guess, of staying equalized, you know, her tone of voice staying similar to the same. I don't know, like to, you know, it was soothing to even just hear the like maneuvers and whatnot. Now turn to your left, you know, and bend and now breathe and everything. It was just very pleasing, even emotionally. So I cried a little. Thank you.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you had a good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there other people on here that have done some yoga in the past?
No.
No? Marty
Not
says, yeah.
really here either.
Okay.
In a way, what you're talking about sounds exactly like what I had to go through. I had a car wreck, a terrific car wreck in 1984, and I was a very high functioning doctor, at least I thought I was, the legend in my own mind. And afterwards, car accident, I thought the imaging studies showed my brain was just the same way it used to be, except I couldn't get access to it. And so you end up kind of thrashing around and using a lot of adrenaline and getting a lot of anxiety and getting nowhere. So it took the next 12 years to get me back to or 10 years to get me back to a semblance of the way I was before that. There was still a lot of sequelae, but I remember one of the key things I had to go through was a neuropsychiatrist and a neuropsychologist got together, and David taught me relaxation therapy and imaging, self-hypnosis. And so it was a lot of, you know, breathing exercises and be aware of your body and pay attention to whether you're tense or relaxed all over until every last part of me was now relaxed in this symmetric way, because otherwise you kind of hold on to stuff in your body. And
Absolutely.
then, you know, the whole imaging, the whole experience on tape took like 45 minutes. It was a big deal. The first time I did it at home, I fell asleep. 3 times a week, 3 times a day. So I can relate, though. I can certainly relate to the severe chronic anxiety. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing, Jerry. Relaxation is a wonderful thing to help calm the nervous system for sure. I know I've struggled with going just up and down of sleeping, not sleeping, being freaked out, and all sorts of things that, you know, they just come up, and you just keep looking for tools that can help you. And relaxation is definitely a great one. All right, let me read the chat a little bit here. I know there's some nice comments about somebody took yoga once at the gym and it was too slow and boring. That can be possible depending on what space you're at, right? So when I started, I did more power yoga and I did more strength building with Pilates, and that was a match for me at that time. Right now, I still love a power class, but honestly, my level is not at a power level anymore. So I find the slower to be much better now, but 15 years ago, I couldn't do it. So if the first class you took didn't work out, I would encourage you to try a different class or try a different teacher. For me, it's always about the teacher and the space that the teacher can hold for me to let me, because I'm so fluid in yoga, sometimes I'll do my own thing. I'll make it my own poses. And so I need a teacher that can allow me to do that, but then can also walk me through a really nice yoga practice. Ryan said he's done yoga for exercise. He's taught his body to do things he never thought it could do. That is very true. The more you practice, the more you do, the more you can start to stretch and have strong balance and stronger muscles. Marty says she's done it both before and after her injury. And she just graduated from the Love Your Brain Virtual Mindset last week. Awesome, Marty. Her injury occurred 4 years ago, and yoga was the best place for her to start to regain her physical ability. That is a great story. So I'm glad you have connected to Love Your Brain. I was going to talk about that today. Love Your Brain is a wonderful organization. It is out of Vermont. And after my injury, I connected with them. I found them through another friend of mine that owned a studio in Montpelier, Vermont. And so they did teacher training. They do teacher trainings all over the country. And so that is another resource for people to check out. Love Your Brain. I think it's loveyourbrain.com. They do have a virtual classes right now. They used to have a 6-week series program. And so when I connected with them 3 years ago, I ended up asking them to come to Memphis to do a teacher training program. So they came and trained almost 70 yoga teachers here in Memphis to be fluid in teaching the Love Your Brain curriculum. And it sounds like Molly has done some yoga to help her with her balance too. Excellent. Yes, and there's the link for the Love Your Brain information. They have a lot of meditations and videos, that wonderful people. And I can't recommend them enough in their programming. They do presentations all over the country. And the program that's in Memphis is typically housed at Better Bodies Yoga Studio in kind of, I don't know if it's quite East Memphis, but kind of east of Memphis. I know there's a program in Nashville. You can find it there. I didn't look to see if it's in Knoxville or Chattanooga. I don't think so. But you could, and at this time, everything is virtual anyway. So you can always tap into a 6-week program online.
I like your Stephanie Loves Yoga class, preferably if I had chosen one.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Stephanie, where's a good place to start? If you've never done this before, how would you go about looking for a class particularly after you've had a brain injury, finding someone that understands kind of what you're going through, and how do you know the difference between a high impact or high physical, like you're saying earlier, versus slow?
Right.
Sorry.
Basically, after my injury, I couldn't go to any yoga studios. They played music. I couldn't do music. Lights were too bright, too many people. I couldn't actually do it. So that's why the Love Your Brain program is really great, because they cater to all of those things. And they understand that those things are really important. And if you go in and have to wear sunglasses, or, whatever the little tweaks in your system are, however your brain was affected, they understand it. I would say you could try a beginner class, but I would probably try to find a teacher that has more of a yoga therapy background, or and talk to the teacher beforehand. But like Marty, I think Marty just said here, yeah, Love Your Brain's a great place to start. She thought it was a little bit too slow. It depends on your teacher. But I think chair yoga is also a great place to start. So that's what we're going to do here today, because you're sitting in a chair, it's less stuff you have to worry about standing, and it's just a good beginner class. Does that answer your question, Lisa?
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
And a lot of people don't know TBIs. Very few, I mean, you guys know, even doctors, right? I've been to how many doctors and people still can't help me. Like, they sent me to like the eye, nose, and throat doctor, and I had the heart stress tests, and they don't have an answer for it. It's like, go to somebody that deals with the subtle energy body, and that's where, because they can't, like Jerry was saying, they can't track it in the science right now, but you can feel it. And if you can feel it, that's energy. So it's all about shifting that energy and removing some energy blocks and just getting things to flow better. So, all right, any other questions right now?
I'll make a comment, I guess.
Sure.
That's okay. Thank you, Stephanie. Well, I found out that I can, luckily, for my unique TBI fingerprint, can still do from like testing high intensity lifting still without causing more pain. So that was very uplifting, but a huge goal because I've lost so much weight. But muscle memory and all these lucky resources.
Yeah, that's great. You can still lift like that. Yeah.
Yeah, hard. I didn't think it'd be possible. Maybe not. Some may, some not.
Yeah, some people can, some people can't. It just keep finding what you can do. And if you can't do something that you want to do, like for me, it's riding a bike right now. And so I started on a stationary bike like 2 years ago, and I was like not even 2 minutes on a stationary bike, and I practically fell over because it was too much for me.
How long ago was this? Recent? Oh, you're talking about
that the when I tried biking, it was probably 2 years ago I started.
when was
But my accident was 3 years ago.
I actually, okay, cool. Yep. I actually tried biking too and fell. So yeah, don't take your hands off the bars. Mine wasn't stationary. I will try stationary for sure, just for the benefit of biking. That's wonderful. Yeah. Biking. Yoga.
So I slowly incremented up, right? So that 2 minutes experience, I tried it a couple more times, maybe every week, and it was like, whoa, that's too much. And so I stopped. And then when I was ready to try it again, I went to 5 minutes and 10 minutes. And this spring before COVID hit, I was up to like 35, 40 minutes on the stationary bike, but that it took me a solid 6 months to get there. And now I can do 10, maybe 20 minutes outside on like a real bike. So, it's no 100 miles or 50-mile bike ride that I would like to do, but hey, I can get on a bike again.
No Tour de France, but.
Right. But, it's all about just appreciating what I can do right now. So yeah, that's just another example about, retraining your brain and working with this neuroplasticity. All right, so we're ready to try the yoga part for neuroplasticity for the brain. All right. All right, let me pause this and move my camera back. So I do this and this. And everybody, if you don't have a chair already, if you came in a few minutes late, if you could find a straight backed chair, preferably with no arms. We'll give you about a minute to do that.
So Stephanie, do you not want us to be able to see you?
I have to move my chair and my camera.
Oh, okay.
So just give me another 30 seconds and I will turn everything back on.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Just to hear voices is amazing to me.
I just didn't want everybody to have to watch Rick on what to do.
On topics that are similar.
Sorry, Rick.
I'll show you what to do.
Rick. Where's he at? Oh, yeah. All right. Please see. Oh, man. I'm beyond tired. I'm a beast. We got this.
We're just glad you're here today, Briar.
Me too.
Briar, where are you located again?
Knoxville.
Knoxville. All right.
Thank you. How about you, Rick?
Well, I'm in Cookville.
Cookville. Hey, you go a little bit towards me or past me. Crossville. There's a bunch of good golf there. There's some good golfing over there.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been to those, but that's some of the best in the U.S. actually.
I think we've got the whole state represented. We've got Memphis, and we've got Nashville, and we've got Murfreesboro, and Knoxville, and Cookville, Chattanooga,
Jackson.
Good Lord.
Jackson. Yes, ma'am.
There was a few out of state.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rick.
Yes, and Dr. Jerry's in North Carolina now.
Okay.
Okay. North Carolina. Jeff, where are you located? Is this your first time, Jeff?
I think
You're muted, Jeff.
Jeff.
Who, Jerry? Oh, Jeff. my bad.
Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, you're
There
on.
you go.
Apologies. I'm in Nashville. I'm a social worker at Pi Beta Phi Rehab Institute at Vanderbilt. So I was really interested in this group and love your brain yoga. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Thanks for being here. And we'd love to have, any of you all's clients to join us. We try to do this every week. So
Yeah, that's great. I personally do yoga at home every day. So I'm really interested in this.
wonderful. Oh, and there's Stephanie.
I'm back.
Hey, welcome back.
Thanks. I didn't go too far, but all right.
We all just thought you left completely, and we talked about it for a long time, but you're back.
Yeah. Can everybody see me okay?
Yeah, that's actually really good for a visual to see what we need to do.
All right. Looks like I got thumbs too. All right. So everybody can find your comfortable seat on your chair. So you want to find equal weight on your right and your left sit bones. Sitting up tall, so you're not using the back of your chair right now. And just reaching the top of your head up to the ceiling. You can even put your hand up here. If you're kind of slouching, just sit up tall. And your chin should be parallel to the floor. So some people kind of start looking up and keeping their chin high, but you don't really want to do that because you want the back of the neck to be nice and straight. So that way your head is over your body and there's less strain on your neck. All right, so let's put hands back to the lap. And Lisa, how long do you guys want to go today? Should we do about maybe 20 minutes of yoga? Is that all right, or is that too much or too little?
That sounds good to me. And if anyone has to, I know some are at work, whatever you guys need to do, we understand. So, but yes, Stephanie, 20 minutes sounds good to me. How about you, Rick and Pam?
Yeah, it's good.
Maybe 19.5 for Hall.
So first you're in your seat and we're gonna bring our hands to our lap. So let's come back and close our eyes again. And just notice the breathing. As you breathe in, the breath moves up the body. And as you exhale, the breath moves down the body. So closing your eyes, tuning inside. And then gently opening your eyes, we're going to bring the hands down to the sides. And squeezing your shoulder blades on your back here. So your front of your chest here is opening towards the camera. So you can draw your arms back even further. And then we're going to bring them in front of us and just tap your palms together. And then open the arms wide, squeeze the shoulder blades. And come forward and tap. And open. Close. So maybe this is an inhale to open, squeeze the shoulder blades. If you want to add a little bit, now you can look up to the ceiling. And then tuck the chin and hands touch in front of you. So rounding the back just a little bit. And then we're going to inhale, open the throat, gaze up if that's available to you. Squeeze the shoulders. And then tuck the chin, hands touch. All right, 2 more times. Inhale, look up, stretch, squeeze. Exhale, tuck the chin, round forward, touch the hands. Inhale. And exhale. Back to hands in your lap. We're gonna roll the shoulders in circles. So one shoulder lifted high and bring it back behind you. Lift up and back behind you.
Feeling the burn.
So at the beginning of class, I had given sort of a little disclaimer about listening to your body right now and just being okay with whatever you can do. And we'll keep it, fairly easy with these movements, but sometimes there's just things you just can't do, and that's okay. So listen to your bodies. All right, let's bring the shoulders forward now. Big circles, lifting them up, rounding them out. All right, come back to sitting. We're gonna open the arms wide, so they're gonna be in a T position. And we're going to bring both hands to the heart space. And I like to get on the edge of my chair just a little bit here so my feet are more grounded to the floor and I can move. I'm gonna open one arm out to the side, kind of like I have a big jacket on, right? And I'm showing you all of my fancy watches to buy. And then sweep
that kind of study. Sorry.
Sweep that arm back to the heart. Open the other side.
There's the Timex.
Back to center, other side. Back to center. Inhale, open. Exhale, back to center. One more time, each side open to stretch. Back to center. And stretch. And back to center. All right, taking a moment, take a deep breath in and out. Release the hands. We'll inhale the hands up overhead, fingers touch. Exhale, turn your palms out and slowly set them down to your sides. 2 more times. Inhale, arms overhead, fingers touch. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. This time we're going to add a couple of twists. So you're going to inhale, arms up. Look to your left. And then drop your arms. So your right hand comes to your left knee. And your left hand comes behind you. So you're looking over to your left. So push on your knee just a little bit, twist, sit up tall, twist, and then raise your arms high overhead. Back to center, and then look to your right. Arms, left hand to your right knee, right arm behind you, twist and look to your right. Maybe engaging your belly, sitting up a little bit taller. Inhale, arms back, overhead through center. Let's do one more time each side. So look left, lower your arms, push off your knee, twist and look left. Push your arms back through center. Last time, last side. Look to your right and twist. Inhale, arms overhead. Bend your elbows so they're in like cactus arms here. You're just gonna gently swing side to side. Some people like to do this really fast, and some people like to go slow, and some of us are just in the middle. So you get to choose what speed you want to do this at.
This is like obliques, right?
Yeah. So just allowing the back and the shoulders to soften here.
Okay.
Working the rotation. And back to center. Pause in the middle. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. And exhale out the mouth. And slowly lower the hands down to the chair. So I'm going to scoot back a little bit now. I'm going to hold the sides of my chair and straighten my arms and lift my chest up. So my shoulders are pulling down, and depending on the length of your arms and the chair you're in, you may or may not be able to do that, but you can also just ground your hands to the floor and you're really pulling your shoulders down. All right, and then let's tuck the chin to the chest. And then come back through center. Let's bring the hands to the heart. And we're going to do something called the circle of joy. So hands together, you're going to clasp the fingertips, fingers. Press the palms forward. Tuck the chin. Round the back, hands forward. And then you're going to inhale and lift the arms up to the ceiling. And release your hands down to your sides. Hands come back to the heart. Clasp the hands, palms face down. Turn the palms forward, press forward, tuck the chin, round the back. And then lift the arms overhead and release down. One more time, hands to the heart. Clasp the hands, press forward, round the back, and lift the hands up to the ceiling, and release back down to the sides. All right, let's dance those shoulders back and forth. Lift one and then the other. And then you're gonna start to slinky your arms side to side. So kind of like you're on a wave, right? Wave your arm up, slide over, and then the other side. So you're shifting your weight from your right side to your left side. Finding some softness in your arms and your back. All
That's
right,
quite difficult for me.
arms stretch wide. Palms forward, stretch all your fingers here. So make your hands really big, really wide, and then make a fist with your hands. Squeeze your fists, open the hands and stretch the palms. Maybe even flex the wrist back. And then make a fist, squeeze, and then open the hands and stretch. All right, shake them out. Let's bring up the left knee here. So if you need to hold under your thigh, you can. If your toes are still touching the ground and you're just lean over, hold the knee, that's fine. But if you can hold the knee, let's see if we can slide the knee back and forth.
Amra.
Could everybody mute their cameras, please? Thanks. All right, and then we're going to lower that foot down to the floor and do the other knee. So right knee raised. And then rotating that hip side to side. Just a slight rocking motion. And then back to center, release the foot. Let's do just a little bit of standing. So if you're in a chair, you can get out of your chair, we'll just put it to the side. And you can still keep your chair handy. So if you want to use it for balance, you can. And we're just gonna start with some little easy squats. So we're gonna call this a 3/4 squat. So bringing your feet under your hips. Maybe there's 1 or 1.5 fists in between your big toes and your feet are aligned forwards and back. All right, so we're just gonna bend the knees a little bit and stand back up. So a couple of times, 3/4 squats up and down. All right, coming back to standing. Let's inhale, stretch the arms all the way up to the ceiling here. And if you can, come up high on your tiptoes. And then lower the hands down to the sides, lower the heels. Inhale, high on your tiptoes. Or just stay on flat feet and just raise your arms if you can't go on your tiptoes. All right, release. Hands, release heels. One more time, high on the toes. Fingertips lift overhead. Stretching high and releasing down to the sides. All right, now we're gonna bring the feet a little bit wider. And we're just gonna shift our weight from the right foot to the left foot. So you might just keep your toes on the ground. Let me find some bare feet. You can probably see my feet a little bit easier. If you need to keep your toes on the ground, this would be level 1. If you want it more challenging, bring the knee up halfway and shift your weight right to left. If that's still too easy, you can just lift your knee as high as you can on both sides. So just wherever you are, taking little steps or big steps. All right, and then come back to center. Now equally weighting on both of your feet. So maybe start to grip your toes into the floor, squeezing your knees as your knees pull up, maybe squeezing your glutes a little bit, and then opening your hands to the sides. And if you remember that motion when we squeeze the shoulders down the back and just open the upper chest just slightly, we are now in a pose called mountain pose. So when all of your leg muscles are engaged and all of your torso and your arms are engaged, you are now strong like a mountain. So if I came over to each of you and pushed you on the shoulders, you shouldn't be able to fall over because you're standing so strong here. So it's a very active and a very engaged pose. All right, take another nice deep breath in through the nose. And exhale out the mouth. All right, and release your mountain pose. And let's do a little balancing here. So placing all your weight onto the right foot. You're gonna plant that foot solid in the ground, spreading all 5 of your toes on one foot. And you're gonna bring your left toes up forward. So again, they might be on the ground. You might be using your chair. You might not, you just might have both hands on your waist. And then if this is still easy, if you want to raise your foot higher, you can. So find whichever one of these options works for you right now. And let's hold this for 10 more seconds. And then lower that foot down to the ground, walk out your feet left to right. And let's find our balance on the other side. So plant all your weight to the left foot, stretch out the toes, hold your chair if you need to, point your toes, and you might just stay here, or you might lift your toes off the ground or hands to your waist. So find a balance pose here. You might wobble, that's okay. That's just your brain and your body finding and strengthening the muscles and those new neural pathways that you're working right now. All right, 5 more seconds. And lower your foot down to the ground, walk out one foot and then the other. All right, and now we're gonna use our chair for a side stretch. So I'm gonna let's place your left hand on the chair, or if the chair is on the other side, we're gonna do both sides. So either whichever one you wanna start with first. I'm gonna step maybe about 2 feet away from my chair. I wanna make sure my chair can't really slide, right? Because if I push on it, it's gonna do this. So just be aware of your sliding capability here, because I don't want anybody to fall. And you're gonna stretch out the right hand or whichever hand to the other side. So this might be a really good stretch for you. You're arching over slightly towards the chair. I'm stretching this hip joint and I'm pushing down into that right foot. And I can feel that in my sides, in my obliques, all the way down to my foot. If you want to take it a little bit more, you can certainly reach your arm up high to the ceiling, or even reach it all the way over towards the chair in more like a rainbow shape. So just notice where you want your arm to be today. And we'll hold it for about 10 more seconds. Breathing, stretching. And then when you're ready, you can slowly bring your arm back down, come back to standing mountain pose. Take 3 deep breaths in and out through the nose. then grab your chair and we're gonna do the other side. So you can just slide it over, maybe stand about 2 feet away from the chair. Find a nice grip on your chair. Be aware if it slides or not. And then push your hip out to the left a little bit, leaning over, stretching your arm out to the side. So again, you might stay here, or you might find your arm in whichever part of this rainbow feels good to you right now. Maybe you want to move it, or maybe you keep it more of a static pose. All good options. And 5 more seconds. And release your arm. Back down to your side, release the chair, come back into your tall mountain pose. Clasp, grip your toes to the ground, engage your legs, open your hands and arms, stand tall here, engage everything. And then relax. So let's come back to our chairs in the seated position. I'll do a couple more things to wind us down. So my class on Wednesday mornings is essentially the same idea, but we go a little bit longer. It's a whole hour. But I'm just giving you kind of a little sampling of all of the different things that we do. And each class is totally different. I don't know how it happens, but part of me was so worried about teaching yoga, like, oh, we're going to do the same thing over and over again. But it is so different. I can't even explain it, but it makes it really fun, I guess. All right, so let's inhale, arms out, stretching wide again, stretching your fingertips towards the side walls. There are a lot of meridian points on the end of your fingertips, the end of your toes, and all around your face. So stretching your fingers wide, like somebody's pulling on your hands. And then you're gonna bring your hands back together. All right, and we're gonna do like a little, kind of like you're pulling taffy, right? Or pulling cotton candy. So cotton candy is very light. So you're just gonna pretend your arms and your fingers are very feathery. So you're gonna open them out really light and then bring them back really light. So notice what it feels like to have light arms. And then now you're going to stretch your arms wide again, fingertips stretched to the sides of the room. Squeeze your fingertips together. So I'm just squeezing, stretching, engaging your shoulders, lowering your shoulders so they're out of your ears. And then release the arms and come back to that soft movement back and forth. So can everybody notice the difference when you tense everything up and squeeze versus when you just soften and allow the flow to happen? All right, let's come back to the center, rub your hands together. And we'll close with something called the triple warmer smoothie. So triple warmer is one of the meridians in the Chinese system, and it's basically connected to the fight, flight, or freeze mechanism. So when we calm this meridian, we're calming our nervous system. So this is a great exercise for that. It's a great exercise to close with. So we'll rub the hands together. And then bring the hands over the eyes. So if you have glasses, just put them on the top of your head maybe. Bring your palms of your hands over the eyes, the fingertips drape over the forehead, closing off your sensation of seeing. Your thumbs come back to the temples that we worked with and held at the beginning of class. And come back to listening to your breathing. So sit up tall again here, root down into the 2 sit bones into your chair. And listen to your breathing. All right, and then bring your fingertips to your forehead. We're gonna pull the fingertips across, hold at the temples. Breathe in and out 3 times. Tuck your your hands, your fingers behind your ears, tracing down the sides of your neck. And then hold the tops of your shoulders. Breathing in and out 3 times. And then slowly pulling your hands forward, crossing over your heart space. If you want to keep your eyes closed, you can. And taking some more breaths, relaxing. On your next exhale, slide the hands down your belly, down to your lap. And we'll just take 1 minute to close in a quiet meditation. So your eyes can be closed or looking at the floor. Just noticing your breathing, being aware of your body, being aware of your mind. And then as you're ready, bring your hands together at your heart space. Thank you all for joining me today, learning about yoga, hearing my story, and sharing some movements with me. I'm glad you're all here. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming. And I'm happy to answer any more questions. We can take ourselves off of mute now. And again, if you want to join some other classes that I do, you're welcome to contact me, like me on Facebook at Stephanie Loves Yoga. If you want to join live classes, right now it's Wednesdays at 10. And if there are some classes on YouTube, if you want to check those out, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Stephanie Congo. You are welcome, everybody. I'm glad this worked out great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Does anybody?
I think I lost 5 pounds.
Thank you.
Very common. Yes, people do that.
I have muscles I did not know I had.
Congo or Stephanie Love yoga.
I got loveyourbrain.com.
Okay.
Yeah, so loveyourbrain.com is a totally different program. That's a national program. If you want to find me, I'm totally different. I have my own private practice, yoga therapy and energy medicine practice. That's Stephanie Loves Yoga. Does anybody else have any other questions?
How do we join you on Wednesday?
You can email me and I can send you the link. So you can either message me on Facebook or you can even put your email in the chat here too.
So Kayla, I know she was saying earlier, I think you had missed that part, but her email is Stephanie Loves Yoga
At Gmail.
Okay. Yeah.
gmail.com.
Stephanie Congo on YouTube. Right?
Yeah, on YouTube it's Stephanie Congo.
Congo.
C-O-N-
I thought it said Condo.
C-O-N-G-O. Yeah.
Thank you.
And
I love
so-
your story. Sorry. I
Oh,
love
thanks.
your I appreciate you expressing how your head injury. It's very, you don't hear a lot of
It hasn't been easy, but you make the best of it, right?
yeah.
I missed a lot of it. So is your story on your Facebook?
It's not, no. It's not something I share very often. We did record the session today, so it's up to Lisa if she wants to share that with the whole group. For me, she's welcome to do that so people can check it out. And then you can watch the beginning of it to get the whole story. It's just a very short story.